If you're over 75 and your feet feel cold most of the day, I need you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. This is not normal aging. I need you to stop telling yourself that. Cold feet, heavy legs, tingling at night, these are signals that blood is not reaching your lower body the way it should. Ignore it long enough, and it can quietly progress to nerve damage, loss of balance, and the kind of mobility decline that takes away your independence one step at a time. Here's the good news. 5 specific vitamins have been shown to directly improve circulation in the legs, and when caught early, the difference can be remarkable. In over 25 years of practice, I've watched patients go from barely walking to the mailbox to strolling with their grandchildren, simply because they finally gave their body what it was missing. Today, I'll show you all 5, ranked from important to most critical. And number 1, over 80% of seniors don't have nearly enough of it. Do me a favor right now, look down at your feet. Are they cold right now as you're watching this? Tell me. Someone else reading your comment might finally realize they're not the only one dealing with this every single day. I'm Dr. Walter Pembrook, and if you're new to this channel, I want you to know something about how I work. I don't sell supplements. I don't take sponsorships. I show up here for one reason, to help older Americans understand what's really happening inside their bodies, in plain and honest language. Grok Super, 30 ngày, nâng chính chủ INF 460. Grok Super, 9 tháng, BF 1500. Grok Super 1 năm, BAT 10 tháng 18. Number 5. Vitamin E, the shield your blood vessels have been begging for. Here's what happens inside your arteries every single day. Free radicals, unstable molecules created by everything from processed food to pollution attack the smooth inner lining of your blood vessels. Picture the inside of a brand new garden hose. Smooth, flexible, wide open. Now imagine years of tiny scratches wearing down that surface. Your body responds by sending cholesterol and calcium to patch the damage. And that's exactly how plaque builds up and chokes off the blood trying to reach your legs. Vitamin E steps in before the damage happens. It neutralizes those free radicals like a protective coat on the inside of every artery wall. The signs that you need more of it are subtle but real. Tingling in your toes that comes and goes. Feet that feel cold even under a blanket. A heaviness in your calves after standing for just a few minutes. If any of that sounds familiar, your blood vessel lining may already be paying the price. I had a patient, an 81-year-old grandmother, who came in convinced her leg pain was arthritis. Her circulation test told a different story. Her vessels were narrowed, inflamed, and struggling. 3 months after adjusting her vitamin E intake alongside dietary changes, she told me, "I walked to my mailbox and back without stopping for the first time in 2 years." But here's what most people get wrong. They grab the cheapest bottle at the drugstore without checking the label. If it says DL-alpha tocopherol, put it back. That's the synthetic form, and your body only absorbs about half of it. Look for D-alpha tocopherol, the natural form your body actually recognizes. 3 things you can do right now. First, add sunflower seeds or almonds to your morning routine. Just 1 ounce of sunflower seeds covers nearly 2/3 of your daily need. Second, always take vitamin E with a meal that includes healthy fat without fat. Your body absorbs almost none of it. Third, talk to your doctor about a dose between 200 and 400 international units daily, especially if you're on blood thinners. That was a strong start, but the next vitamin does something so specific to your arteries that once you understand it, you'll wonder why your doctor never mentioned it. Number 4. Vitamin K2, the calcium traffic cop your arteries desperately need. Here's something most people over 75 don't realize. The calcium you've been taking for your bones? Some of it may be ending up in the worst possible place inside the walls of your arteries. It's called vascular calcification. And it's one of the main reasons blood flow to your legs drops so dramatically as you get older. Your arteries are supposed to be soft and flexible, expanding with every heartbeat to push blood all the way down to your toes. But when calcium deposits build up inside those walls, they become stiff and rigid, like old pipes clogged with mineral buildup. Blood can't flow through them the way it should. Think of it this way. Imagine a busy intersection with no traffic lights and no officer directing cars. Calcium is the traffic, and without someone telling it where to go, it piles up in your arteries instead of going to your bones where it belongs. Vitamin K2 is that traffic officer. It activates a special protein that grabs calcium out of your artery walls and redirects it straight back to your skeleton. The warning signs are easy to miss. Stiffness in your legs that gets worse in the morning. Feet that ache after short walks. A tightness in your calves that feels deeper than muscle fatigue. These could mean your arteries are losing flexibility, and calcium may be the reason. I once treated a retired postal worker, 7'6", who walked routes for 30 years without a single leg complaint. 2 years into retirement, he could barely make it around the block. His calcium levels were fine. His K2 was almost non-existent. Within 4 months of adding K2 to his routine, he told me, "Doc, my legs feel like they remember what they used to do. Now, the form matters. Look for MK7 on the label. It stays active in your bloodstream for up to 72 hours. The MK4 form gets used up in just a few hours. Most vascular researchers recommend between 100 and 200 micrograms daily. 3 things you can do today. First, add hard-aged cheeses like Gouda or Brie to your diet. The fermentation process creates K2 naturally. Second, eat egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens. Those hens convert vitamin K1 from grass into K2 that concentrates in the yolk. Third, and this is critical, take your K2 at the same time as your vitamin D. These two work together, and you'll see exactly why when we reach number 1. If you're on warfarin or any blood thinner, talk to your doctor first. K2 can interfere with how those medications work. Now, if K2 is the traffic cop keeping calcium in line, the next vitamin is the one that forces your blood vessels wide open in a way you can literally feel. Number 3. Niacin. The vitamin that opens your blood vessels like turning on a faucet. If you've ever taken a niacin supplement and felt your skin get warm, flushed, maybe a little red, that wasn't a bad reaction. That was your blood vessels physically widening and flooding your body with warm blood. And that exact response is why vascular specialists have been using niacin for over 60 years. Niacin, also known as vitamin B3, is one of the most powerful natural vasodilators in existence. A vasodilator is simply something that relaxes and widens your blood vessels, so more blood can flow through with less resistance. When you think about cold feet, the core problem is that the vessels in your lower legs have tightened and narrowed. A vitamin that directly forces them to relax and open is about as targeted as it gets. But niacin doesn't stop there. It also reshapes your cholesterol in ways that directly benefit your leg arteries. It raises HDL, the good cholesterol that cleans plaque out of your vessels, by 15 to 35%. That's more than most prescription medications achieve. At the same time, it lowers LDL and triglycerides, both of which build up the plaque that chokes blood flow to your legs. The signs you might benefit from niacin are hard to ignore. Cramping in your calves when you walk, legs that feel heavy and sluggish by afternoon, feet that stay cold no matter how many pairs of socks you pile on. If your blood vessels are constricted, niacin goes straight to the source of the problem. A patient of mine, a 4-year-old woman, had stopped going to her weekly church group because the walk from the parking lot left her legs burning and cramping. She assumed it was age. After working niacin into her routine under careful supervision, she came back 3 months later and said, "I parked at the far end of the lot last Sunday just to prove I could." Now, here's where people go wrong with niacin. The flushing effect can be uncomfortable if you're not prepared. 3 simple steps to manage it. First, always take niacin right after a meal, never on an empty stomach. Second, start low, 100 milligrams, and gradually increase over several weeks. Third, a small aspirin 30 minutes beforehand blocks about 70% of the flush. The best food sources include chicken breast, turkey, tuna, salmon, and mushrooms. A single chicken breast covers roughly 70% of your daily need. One important note: niacin at higher doses can affect your liver and blood sugar. This is absolutely a vitamin where you want your doctor monitoring with regular blood work, especially if you're over 75 and on other medications. Everything so far has been powerful, but the next one? If I could only recommend one single mineral for cold feet and leg cramps, this would be it. Without hesitation, before we get to the top 2, and trust me, you don't want to miss them, I want to hear from you. Out of the 3 vitamins we've covered so far, vitamin E, K2, and niacin, which one surprised you the most? Which one had you thinking, "I had no idea"? Take a second and type it in the comments. Your answer helps me understand what matters most to folks like you. And the next 2 vitamins are the ones that tie everything together. Number 2, magnesium. The master mineral your blood vessels cannot function without. If I could hand every single person over 75 one mineral and say, "Take this tonight," it would be magnesium. And the reason is simple: your blood vessels literally depend on it to stay open. Here's what happens at the cellular level. Your blood vessel walls are lined with smooth muscle cells. When too much calcium floods into those cells, the walls contract, tighten, and squeeze down. Blood flow drops, your feet get cold, your legs cramp. Sound familiar? Magnesium is your body's natural defense against that. It competes with calcium at the cellular level, keeping those muscle cells relaxed and those vessel walls wide open. In fact, it works so similarly to a class of prescription blood pressure medications called calcium channel blockers that doctors sometimes call magnesium nature's calcium channel blocker. Now here's the part that should concern every older American. Somewhere between 60 and 80% of adults over 75 are deficient in magnesium, and the reasons are stacking against you. Your gut absorbs less of it as you age. Common medications, acid reflux pills, certain diuretics actively drain it from your body. And modern farming has stripped nearly 40% of the magnesium out of our soil compared to 50 years ago. Even a healthy diet might not be enough anymore. The signs show up in your legs first. Cramps that wake you at 2 inches the morning. A restless, crawling sensation in your calves. Feet that feel numb and cold even in summer. Legs that feel heavy and unsteady when you stand up too fast. I'll never forget a patient, a 9-year-old retired mechanic who'd spent his whole life on his feet. He came in convinced something was seriously wrong with his legs, cramping every night, cold feet around the clock. His magnesium levels were far below normal. 8 weeks on the right form of magnesium, he walked into my office and said, "First full week of sleep in 3 years. Not one cramp." And that brings me to something critical. The form you take matters enormously. Magnesium oxide, the cheapest form at every drugstore, has only about 4% absorption. Your body barely uses it. Instead, look for magnesium glycinate, gentle on the stomach and highly absorbable, or magnesium taurate, which research shows has a particular affinity for cardiovascular tissue. 3 things to do right now. First, take magnesium in the evening. It has a calming effect that also helps with sleep. Second, pair it with vitamin B6, which significantly enhances how much your cells actually absorb. Third, aim for 300 to 400 milligrams daily of elemental magnesium and add dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, and spinach to your weekly meals. Everything we've covered so far is powerful. But the vitamin in our #1 spot is the one that ties it all together. Without it, none of the others work nearly as well. And here it is, the single most important vitamin for your leg circulation. The one I've been waiting to tell you about. #1, vitamin D3, the circulation hormone that over 80% of seniors are dangerously low in. I call it a hormone because that's exactly what it is. Vitamin D3 isn't a vitamin in the traditional sense. It's a hormone that controls hundreds of processes in your body, and one of them is absolutely critical for blood flow, the production of nitric oxide. Cardiologists and vascular surgeons call nitric oxide the miracle molecule. And once you understand what it does, you'll see why. Every time your body releases nitric oxide, it sends a direct signal to the smooth muscle cells in your artery walls. Relax, soften, open up. More blood flows through. Your legs get warmer. Your feet wake up. Your circulation comes back to life. Without enough vitamin D3, your body cannot produce adequate nitric oxide. The signal weakens. The arteries stay tight, and the blood that should be reaching your toes barely makes it past your knees. But D3 does something even deeper. It fights chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that silently damages your artery walls month after month, year after year. This type of inflammation is now recognized as one of the primary drivers of atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of arteries that devastates leg circulation. Research shows that D3 supplementation reduces one of the most reliable markers of vascular inflammation by an average of 25% in older adults. That means D3 isn't just opening your vessels wider today, it's protecting them from narrowing further tomorrow. And remember what we said about vitamin K2? How it redirects calcium away from your arteries and back to your bones? Well, D3 is the one that controls how much calcium your body absorbs from food in the first place. Without enough D3, calcium regulation falls apart. More calcium ends up in your artery walls. Less goes to your bones. That's why researchers insist D3 and K2 must be taken together. D3 brings the calcium in. K2 tells it where to go. Now, here's the reality that makes this the #1 vitamin on our list. Over 80% of Americans over 75 have vitamin D levels that are either deficient or insufficient. 80%. And the reasons are compounding against you. Your skin produces 75% less D3 from sunlight than it did when you were 20. Most older adults spend more time indoors, and very few foods contain meaningful amounts. I think about a patient, a 7'7", year-old former school principal who prided herself on eating well and staying active. She walked every morning, cooked her own meals, did everything right or so, she thought, but her feet were ice cold every night and her legs ached from the knee down. Her vitamin D level came back at 18, severely deficient. We started her on a supervised D3 protocol paired with K2. 10 weeks later, she sat in my office, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Dr. Pembrook, I felt my toes again last Tuesday." I actually cried. That's what this vitamin can do when your body finally gets enough of it. Here's how to act on this. First, ask your doctor for a 2,5 hydroxy vitamin D blood test. It's the most accurate way to know where you stand. Second, most researchers studying vascular health in older adults recommend between 2,000 and 4,000 international units of D3 daily. But your ideal dose depends on your current levels. Third, take D3 with a meal that includes fat. It's fat soluble, just like vitamin E. And always take it alongside K2 to keep calcium flowing to the right places. The best food sources are fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines. A 3-ounce serving of wild-caught salmon provides roughly 600 to 1,000 international units. Egg yolks and UV-exposed mushrooms help, but they won't move the needle on their own. For most seniors, supplementation is not optional, it's necessary. So let's bring it all together. 5 vitamins. 5 specific tools your body needs to keep blood flowing strong and steady to your legs after 75. Number 5, vitamin E. The protective shield that stops free radicals from scratching up the inside of your arteries and triggering the plaque buildup that chokes off circulation. Take the natural form, D-alpha tocopherol, with a meal that includes fat. A handful of sunflower seeds or almonds every morning can make a bigger difference than you think. Number 4, vitamin K2. The calcium traffic cop that pulls calcium out of your artery walls and sends it back to your bones where it belongs. Look for the MK7 form. Take it alongside your vitamin D. And if you're on blood thinners, talk to your doctor first. Number 3, niacin. The vasodilator that physically forces your blood vessels to relax and open wide. Start low. Take it after a meal. And let your doctor monitor your liver and blood sugar at higher doses. Number 2, magnesium. Nature's calcium channel blocker. The master mineral that keeps your vessel walls relaxed, stops nighttime cramps, and helps you sleep. Skip the cheap oxide form. Go for glycinate or taurate. Pair it with B6 in the evening. And number 1, vitamin D3. The circulation hormone that controls nitric oxide production, fights the silent inflammation destroying your arteries, and regulates the calcium balance that K2 depends on to do its job. Over 80% of seniors don't have enough. Get tested. Supplement with K2. And don't wait. I want to leave you with something important. Cold feet and heavy legs are not a life sentence. They are not just getting old. They are your body telling you clearly, specifically, urgently that something is missing. And now you know what. Remember the school principal? She felt her toes again for the first time in years and cried. Remember the retired mechanic? He slept a full week without a single cramp. Remember the postal worker? His legs remembered what they used to do. Remember the woman who stopped going to church? She parked at the far end of the lot just to prove she could. And remember the grandmother who thought it was arthritis? She walked to her mailbox and back, without stopping for the first time in 2 years. These aren't miracles. These are people who stopped accepting the wrong answer and finally gave their body what it was asking for. Your legs carried you through an entire lifetime. They deserve to feel warm, strong, and alive for every chapter that's still ahead. If this video helped you understand even one thing you didn't know before about your circulation, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'm Dr. Walter Pembrook, and every week on this channel, I break down what's really happening inside your body in plain, honest language. No gimmicks, no sponsors, just the truth you deserve to hear. And before you go, I want you to do something for yourself today. Pick one vitamin from this list. Just one. Talk to your doctor, get your levels checked, and start. That's it. One step, one conversation, one decision that could change how your legs feel 6 weeks from now. Share this video with someone you love whose feet are always cold. They might not know what you just learned, and that knowledge could make all the difference. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.